Finally, they saved Social Security from inevitable collapse with 2 new bills that were recently introduced, which would repeal a lot of the massive changes coming out recently, which is changing this program and causing a lot of uncertainty for millions upon millions of beneficiaries, as well as the program as a whole. Well, I'm going to give you the names of the legislation and exactly what they would do, as well as where lawmakers stand with all of this, because if they don't do something now, DOGE is going to keep going wild on Social Security. As we've talked about so many times over the last couple of weeks, this could get really, really out of hand. So let's jump into the details of these pieces of legislation. Number 1 is Keeping Our Field Offices Open Act. Well, this one does exactly what it implies, keeping our field offices open. Now, as of right now, you probably heard me talk about this before, but there's around 10, give or take a little bit, depending on which report you look at, there's around 10 different field offices across the country that they're planning on closing. Well, a lot of people are saying, what about the people that need to go to these field offices to do all of their business? Again, a lot of people need to go to field offices all the time to get different things done. Well, if they close these field offices, a lot of times, according to what I've been reading on this, some places that don't have a field office anywhere close would need to travel either to another state or like hundreds of miles in order to get to the nearest field office. That would not be very convenient for a lot of beneficiaries, and that'd be really, really, really tough. So this is the piece of legislation that would, again, Keeping Our Field Offices Open Act. That's the name of it. Feel free to look it up if you want to, but it was introduced. Now, I want to be fair with you. Both of these pieces of legislation I'm talking about here in this video have not passed yet, okay? But would any lawmaker really vote against these? I mean, obviously there's going to be some that vote against them, but they'd have to be kind of nuts, right? But anyway, that's kind of the nature of the game here, okay? I think we all recognize that. But anyway, that is number 1 there, and this would be very beneficial for a lot of people. Even if they needed to consolidate offices or, move locations or whatever to make it more efficient, who knows what the actual solution is, but keeping them open is probably number 1 that we need to get to, and that's what lawmakers are working on. All right, now number 2 piece of legislation is Protecting Americans' Social Security Data Act. Again, Protecting Americans' Social Security Data Act. Again, look it up if you want to, but let me explain exactly what this one does. Now, remember about, I don't know, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago now? However long it's been a while, but we've been talking about all the details for a while. There's a lot of different things that are happening, but we recognize that Social Security has been basically inundated by DOGE, right? Again, you know what DOGE is. I've talked about it many times before. But anyway, they basically came a-knocking on Social Security and said, hey, we need to get some access here. We need to take a look around within the database within Social Security. So as I've described before in other videos, they have read-only access. Again, that's what they're telling us, is they have read-only access. In other words, they can read the files, they can look through everything, but they can't change anything. They don't have the ability or the authority to edit anything within Social Security, but rather they can read. Again, hopefully they can read, right? Anyway, you get my point. Anyway, they have read-only access. Okay, so anyway, this piece of legislation basically says, no, this is personal data. DOGE doesn't need to have access to that. So that's exactly what this information or this piece of legislation implies, is Protecting American Social Security Data is literally the name of the legislation, and that's what they want to do, protecting our Social Security data. However, I want to say this much really quickly. It's a little too late. Sorry to say that, but it's a little too late, okay? They've already had access to this for about 3 weeks now. So at least 3 weeks that we know about. It was about 3 weeks ago that we got initial word that DOGE was making its way into Social Security. So they've already had this access and these permissions for about 3-ish weeks. So nice piece of legislation here, don't get me wrong, but when it comes down to current information within the Social Security database, which literally is every single one of us, whether you currently are a beneficiary or not, your data is there. I mean, how'd you get a Social Security number, right? Yeah, they know everything about you. I know a lot of people are like, I don't want them to have my data. They already know everything. They know everything. They know everything about us, okay? So it's not like a big secret. But here's the thing. Who cares? If Social Security knows everything about us, that's okay. It's okay for Social Security to know everything. The problem is when outside entities like DOGE come in and want to get access to that data, that is what this legislation would do, is protect our data, our Social Security data, from outside entities such as DOGE from accessing that. That is what that is, okay? But when it comes down to entities like the IRS and Social Security having our data, That's okay. They already know everything anyway. For them to have our data is totally fine. Not a problem whatsoever. But it's when places like Doge come in and they come a knocking and say, hey, we need all your files, hand them on over, we want to take a look. That's where the problem comes in and exactly what this legislation would do, okay? So it's not like it's going to be, going back and saying, oh, Doge can't have access anymore, which they could. They could easily come in and say Doge can no longer have access. But again, they've already had 3 weeks to start sifting through and looking at everything. So it's a little late there when it comes down to it. But going forward, maybe it says, okay, no more of this business. We cannot have this happening anymore. And I think a lot of people, again, I don't want to just say beneficiaries, it's everybody, because it's all beneficiaries, it's all people. We all have our data within these entities, okay? So they have everything about us. But the detail is, I think all of us probably feel like, yeah, protect that. Now, here's what else is interesting. Think of it this way. We have bank accounts, okay? Maybe if you don't have a bank account, you probably have a credit card, a debit card. Maybe you have, I don't know, somewhere, somehow, some private business, right? So like a bank, a credit card company, somebody somewhere. Maybe you went to an auto dealership, right? You bought a new car and you financed the car, or a used car, whatever. You financed something. You got a personal loan. You got a mortgage. You got a line of credit. You got whatever. At some point, you've probably handed over your personal data to somebody somewhere, right? Well, the situation there is they have the responsibility of protecting our personal data. If they don't, it's a bad situation, right? They usually get all kinds of fines and penalties, and not a good situation. When data is breached, personal data is breached out of these big, large corporations, things like that, it's not a good situation whatsoever. Same thing applies here with Social Security and the IRS and other federal entities. Same situation. They have the responsibility to protect our personal data. Same situation as the local bank down the street, or the credit card company that we apply for, or the car dealership down the road where we buy a car and finance at some point. Again, they have your data, right? They have your social, they have your account numbers for the most part, they have your credit reports, they have your address, they have your phone numbers, your date of birth, your driver's license info. They have all of it on you, right? There's a whole lot more that they have too, but you get the point. So it's the same situation here with these federal agencies and federal entities. They have to protect your data. So anyway, these are the ones that are out there now. Let's see what happens. I will continue to keep you posted on any of this. I know it's a very wild time right now. I know a lot of things are changing massively. I will continue to keep you posted, as I've said for years and years and years. I will continue to keep you posted, be right here by your side every single day, bring you the latest updates. Again, advocate and represent for you in any way that I possibly can, just whatever I possibly can for you right now. I know it's super confusing. I know it's an uncertain time. I'm here for you. Thank you for being part of the community. Please subscribe down below. Again, you see the phone number hanging out on your screen there. If you need any assistance with Medicare, Medicare Supplements, Medicare Advantage, Medicare Part D, initial enrollment into Medicare, Medigap plans, anything like that, call them. They're the absolute experts. They're saving the average senior $1,100. It's 100% free. Feel free to give them a call if you don't want to. It doesn't matter whatsoever. All I'm trying to do is extend a free service for everybody here in the community. I love free stuff. Trying to help you out a little bit. Anyway, please subscribe if you want to. Big subscribe button down below. Feel free to share the video. If you can just think of 1, 2, 3 people that you can think of that would benefit from this information, please share this video. There's a big share button down below. Otherwise, check out the thousands of videos in the video library, the popular videos in the description that I've hand-selected for you. Otherwise, thanks again for watching. Really appreciate you. Thanks again for allowing me to represent and advocate for you. Thank you for your continued trust in me, the videos, the content, everything I'm delivering to you every single day. Have a good one. Hope I can see you again later.